Podcast City Network.
And good evening, everyone. You're listening to another Deathmatch Russell podcast. And tonight, my episode is going to be very special because we're going to be talking to the one and only professional wrestler, the Duke, the Dumpster Droese. And we'll see what he's up to and much, much more, fans. Let's talk wrestling. Tune in right now. Hey, Duke, you're on the line.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How you doing, man? What's going on with you? Busy or what? Keeping busy?
Yeah, trying to keep busy, you know. Doing shows here and there, appearances, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Working the old shoot job.
Yeah, I know. Work is work. You know, we got to work instead of, like that's a fan of wrestling, you know. How many times I wish I could go in the middle of the week. They have shows during the middle of the week. It's like sometimes like, oh, I wish I could attend, but you know what? I got to work.
Yeah, and I can't take any of those bookings either in the middle of the week. I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is what it is, man. You know, you got to live real life sometimes. You got to pay the bills.
Yeah.
That's just part of it.
And you know what? You're the perfect guest because, of course, I'm a garbage man. So how convenient, right? Life's trash, right?
Right on, brother. Right on.
You know. But, man, so have you done any appearances this past week?
Not this past week.
Yeah.
No. I think the last show that I did was, I did a show in Pikeville, Tennessee with the TWA, and I wrestle. Well, I do meet and greets at those, and I also wrestle.
Uh-huh.
I wrestled for them, I think, 3 times, actually.
Yeah.
Tag matches, stuff like that, all kinds of
crazy
fun stuff like that.
Good old hardcore, like always, but that's something.
Yeah, you know, I get my fair share of those, yeah.
But yeah, I see you do podcasts. Man, you do a whole bunch of things. That's awesome. I love it.
I'm trying to branch out into that kind of stuff. I started doing a podcast with these dudes down in Georgia, and you know, we kind of went our separate ways.
Yeah.
So I am getting ready to
launch something.
Restart my podcast on my own.
Yeah.
It may not be called Talking Trash, but
it'll
be something close to that. And yeah, I'm gonna get started as soon as I can.
You know what? I've been doing this for like 2 years, and it's fun. It's just fun, you know. You voice your opinion. You could tell anybody. You could call anybody, and get guests. It's just great, you know, because you could take your mic with you. You know, I mean, all I do is I take my iPad and my iPhone, and I link it to my microphone here at home, and just go to shows. And if they want to talk, they'll talk,
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Yeah, I need to learn all that stuff. I'm still really new to it, so
I'm still learning the Twitch and all that. I want to get myself like all the name tags and this and that. Twitch channel. Of course I have Twitch, but I mean like I want to get Stream. The streaming software. It's really hard to learn.
Yeah. I know nothing about that stuff.
I know, me either. But anyway, man. So yeah, so I was looking back on history of you, and as a fan of wrestling, I'm sure you went to, like, what was your first experience going to a show with your dad?
With my dad. Well, I always tell the story about the first occasion where I knew that I wanted to be a pro wrestler. That was WrestleMania 1. We watched it on live closed circuit. Well, we watched on closed circuit television in an arena because they didn't have pay-per-view in those days. But that, and I think me and my dad went here and there. We would go to local shows whenever, because in those days, see, I grew up in Miami, Florida, so championship wrestling from Florida with Gordon Soley, that was the go-to, man. And it was, Dusty Rhodes, Ric Flair, Lex Luger eventually, Barry Windham, Blackjack Mulligan, Kevin Sullivan. And they had they would run weekly shows. They did this loop in Florida every week, and it was like every Wednesday they were in the Miami Beach Convention Center.
Oh,
and that's where we went. And I went there religiously, and I would watch those shows, and just kind of hang around like a fan.
And see what's
even after I started learning, and I knew what the business was all about. I still would just kind of go to those shows and hang around and kind of see how those guys carried themselves and tried to get clues on how they did things. But that's how I fell in love with wrestling, was in the Florida circuit.
Yeah. Florida, I know Florida was always booming with wrestling back in the day. I mean, you think about it. There's territory was territory, but now it's like it's all over the place. I'm sure you see that, it's everywhere now. Independent wrestling.
Yeah, and it's the independent scene is taking off again, which is a great thing. It's great, obviously, for the new people coming up trying to break into the business, and it's also good for guys like me to get up there and I do the weekend warrior thing, where I'll go out and do appearances sometimes on weekends or just depending on what the schedule looks like. Sometimes I'll run shows or I'll drive, within a reasonable distance and do a show and stuff like that. So that's kind of what I've been doing lately. But the scene has gotten so good. It's hot right now, and it's going to get hotter with AEW coming on now. And
my God, it's crazy. Like, you know what? My guys are going to Japan. A lot of my friends are wrestlers, and they're going to the Game Changer Wrestling this week. Is heading to Japan. Like, how cool is Joey Janela and a couple of those guys, Marcos, or a couple of guys are going to be traveling. Like, my God, they're going to Japan to prove, they can hang with the best in Japan.
Yeah, see, back when I was coming up, and even when I was wrestling in then the World Wrestling Federation, man, there was just a select group of guys. You had to know somebody to get booked. In Japan, and now there's so many more promotions, not just here, but over in Japan as well. And a lot of these companies now are working together with companies in Japan, so it's a whole lot easier for people. And that's one of the things I always tell people when they're coming up there saying, what should I do to learn, to be the best wrestler I can be and to learn the most I can learn? And I always say, go wrestle in other countries. Go learn other styles. Go wherever you can go to learn different styles of wrestling, other than just what's here in the United States, because that will make you a well-rounded wrestler.
You're probably
be able to work anywhere.
You're probably blown away like what these hybrid wrestlers can do now. Like they just high fly off of everywhere. It's like unbelievable what kind of move set that they do now. It's like wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of amazing stuff, and it kind of has moved in phases. I remember when I was in the 90s, when I was in the WWF, the high spot artist was really kind of just coming into their thing, and people didn't like it so much. Always complained about the wrestlers, especially the old timers, would be like, "Well, you're just getting in there, flying around all over the place, doing a bunch of moves, and you're not telling a story, and there's no psychology." And then it kind of it went full circle, and there was lots of high spot artists for a long time, and now it's like you said, it's like a hybrid where there's high spots, there's good storytelling and psychology, there's good grappling and chain wrestling, all of these things. These people now, these young guys and girls coming up in the business are implementing all of that stuff in their repertoires, their movesets, if you will.
I know. I mean, like you said, in WWF, they never did that. They didn't do all that. You had Eddie Guerrero, you had, like the guys that knew how to do all that stuff. And, like, now it's like, going past that in 10 times more,
I remember when I would get yelled at by some of the other guys. Like, one time The Undertaker and Charles Wright, he was Kama then. He later became the Godfather, but they sat me down and talked to me. Actually, we were sharing a cab in England, and they were talking to me about the match I had that night.
Right.
How we were like, I don't know, it was me and Jean-Pierre Lafitte, who is now PCO.
Yes, good old PCO, man. That guy is like,
and he would fly all over the place doing stuff, and I was always game to do whatever. So I would do these spots with him, and we were just all over the place, and we were like first, second, third match. So the guys up further, like semi-main event, weren't too happy with us because we were just blowing the crowd sky high before they got out there and got a chance. And they had to work harder because of what we were doing. Basically, that was their argument. So, yeah, we used to catch shit about it because we were out there putting on the best show we possibly could. And PCO, man, even now at 50
God, I know.
Old, he's just blowing the roofs off of places.
Blowing Ring of Honor to the wall, Big ups to him.
Yeah.
I mean, he was one of those guys Game Changer Wrestling had, WrestleMania weekend, Like, what the hell? This guy's going to blow up the scene, and there he is now, making a name for himself.
And he deserves it because, way back when, his career got stifled by the influences of other people. He got screwed over quite a bit.
Absolutely.
And he deserves it because he's always been a really good wrestler, and he's always been a really good guy.
Do you like his promos he does, those video promos? Great promos. I love how he...
Yeah, I saw this one he did. I think it was before he went to Ring of Honor, but he was they had him to drive a car up on his chest. I was like, what the hell is he doing? I mean, obviously it was a work, but good God.
I know. He's just nonstop with the power of energy, It's great.
Yeah, and it's just good that he reinvented himself, and now he's taking off again with a completely different
era,
routine and a completely different character. So, and that's all good for him.
Yeah, as I always say, when I grew up wrestling, WrestleMania was the big thing. I got to go to WrestleMania 5 with my dad. Sitting there in the nosebleeds in Atlantic City, and watching the wrestling, hell, I was sitting by Gorilla Monsoon and Jesse the Body, 5 rows away. But I look back and I'm like, you know what? Now you look at wrestling and WrestleMania is past all that past. You're probably blown away now. It's history wrestling was WrestleMania. When we grew up watching it in the early days.
Yeah, for a long time that was the crown jewel of everything. It was WrestleMania, but again, like we're saying that.
The indies
wrestling has evolved so much. Back in the day, they called the independent shows, they called them outlaw shows because it was basically just some outlaw guy that owned a ring setting it up somewhere and finding a few wrestlers and running shows. Now they're so much more organized. There's so many more little territories. Yeah. And people are going to stop shy of saying that the territories are coming back because they will never be like they were, and certainly Vince McMahon will never work with anybody like Vince Sr. did. But these independents, man, they are gaining ground, and they are getting a lot bigger, and they are more organized, and people are getting guaranteed contracts, which was unheard of 20 years ago.
Cody, I know. You look at Cody Rhodes signing, this guy Orange Cassidy. Look at this. This guy's perfect for the business. He's made a name for himself in the PWG, Kachara. And all the old promotions, a lot of local...
Anybody that Jim Cornette hates, I love. And not because I don't like Jim Cornette, because I love Jim Cornette, actually. I just love to hear him go off.
Oh, my God.
And he comes from that old school mentality, and the stuff that's going on now, new wrestlers we talk about reinventing yourself. New wrestlers are coming up through the ranks, and they are finding different, more unorthodox ways to get over. And... the wrestling business, I hate to say it this way, but it's no longer about trying to convince the fans that it's real. It's more and more about just finding ways to get over. Now, of course, you would have the argument from Cornette, guys are running out there and lighting themselves on fire and whatever else they do. But there are a lot of unorthodox strange gimmicks out there, if you will, that are getting over now. And these guys are getting signed by companies. So,
I know.
More power to them.
It's like MLW.
In this business,
it's like that. It's like that company MLW. They got some pretty good contract with people in there too. Yeah.
So if you can get guaranteed money in the wrestling business, you're doing just fine. And you should stick with it. It's not about so much the principles. It's about making a living.
It's
you find a way to make a living.
Yeah, I know. I mean, you live off of what did you make and sell your T-shirts and merch and just stay on somebody's couch for a couple
and
days.
If somebody like Cornette hates your guts and
Yeah.
he freaking spits venom and cusses you on his podcast every other week, hell, that's great too.
It is.
Good press, bad press, just spell the name right, brother.
Yeah.
You can talk shit about me all day long because
Yeah.
you're going to just keep saying my name and they're going to keep hearing my name.
Well, that's what they want to hear, your name, because because you've been around and they know who you are. You know what I mean?
And it was like with Kenny Omega and Cornette, man, when he kept blasting him, and of course Kenny Omega's a good wrestler.
Yeah, he is.
He just did some questionable things early in his career that pissed some people off. But again, man, he got over, and now he's got the opportunity with this great company that they're starting to show everybody, and he's done a great job of showing everybody what he can really do. He's a really good worker.
It's like they already sold out in Philadelphia. I'm like, man, I should have got tickets for it, but I'm going to wait till they come. I bet they'll be in Jersey, I'm sure. They're going to make their rounds,
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure they're going to be up around the Northeast, competing, in Vince's neck of the woods.
I know.
As much as they can, so.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Now's the time for wrestling, like we said,
Right.
I mean, growing up watching wrestling, I would watch Saturday morning wrestling. Every night would be wrestling. You'd watch.
Yeah, they don't have Saturday morning wrestling.
No, I know. You have to go back to the YouTube or just go on these networks and pay money and but support these independent wrestling companies that do it, and I catch you can watch House of Hardcore on Twitch TV,
Yeah, see, you can pull it up and watch stuff whenever you want. Back in those days,
no,
when I was growing up, or when you were growing up,
trading tapes.
Had to be in your house, at that time every Saturday morning and sit your ass down in front of the TV because during my childhood, there was no computers or any of that stuff.
No.
You had to sit down and watch TV, watch whatever and there was 3 to 5 channels, local channels.
Yeah.
And wrestling would come on one of those local channels, and cartoons would be before or after.
And you'd have static the TV channel just to see if you could get it on,
Yeah, exactly. So those days are
tape
gone.
trading to Coliseum home videos. To, we had to get it all. We had to try to find it.
Exactly.
Magazines.
Oh God, I used to go. That's back when they let you read magazines standing in the store.
Yes.
But those old wrestling magazines, man, Pro Wrestling Illustrated and The Wrestler, and all those different magazines. Yeah, I grew up on those too.
I mean, I had the subscription. I mean, we all did probably, but it was it was worth it. I still have the dog collar for the dog collar keychain.
And Bill Apter was writing his own storylines. Basically, I mean, it was stuff that, and he a lot of times they wouldn't even interview wrestlers. He would just kind of make up quotes that something he thought they would say. And that's kind of how it went. It just kept people interested in the wrestling business.
I mean, I've I always tell people, growing up, where in my area, New Jersey at the Jersey Shore, Iron Mike Sharp in the mid '80s, had a wrestling school.
Iron Mike Sharp.
God rest.
Wow, there was a character there, man.
I used to go to. I'll tell you what. I used to go to his school on a Saturday night for $5 with my dad and friends and go watch X-Pac as a 1, 2, 3 kid. And Nova before he was really launched his career. It's just crazy. You would just see these guys and the Wall from WCW. Holy shit, You're these guys are powerful people in the business,
Everybody's got to start somewhere.
They do, and then Nova's brother launched a company in Toms River, New Jersey. It was called Phoenix Championship Wrestling in the mid-'90s, and man, that launched the indie wrestling. Samoa Joe to everybody you would know in the business these days. It's wow. It's and they still have videos in smartmark.com. It's amazing.
That's awesome.
It is. It's wrestling, and just whenever you can, go to a show. And, I remember going to WrestleMania, the Hogan versus Bundy, with my dad in a high school gym, watching it on a pay-per-view, the big projector screen. That's how they were showing it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how they didn't get, You fast forward through the years, and I guess I got my first experience going to a live Sunday Night Heat at the restaurant when it came around. I didn't know what I was doing. My sister got tickets or surprised me for dinner. We went Christmas time. I ended up on TV behind Michael Cole and Taz during the Booker T, Stone Cold in the supermarket gig.
Oh gosh.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
That was a great angle. So. I never forget that.
Yeah, those are some of the good years.
But I even called my mom up. I called my mom up that night. Hey, Mom, I'm going to be on TV. So, try to tape this for me. And guess what? I got on VHS, and then I remastered it to DVD.
That's hilarious.
It is.
That's awesome.
It is. And I remember, like, me and Taz were actually, like, calling, like, Ric Flair moves the whole time, you know? Like, who's the master of the Figure Four? Ric Flair, you know? We're just, like, messing with people. I didn't realize I was going worldwide, you know what I mean? At the time. But hey, got out there, right? Had fun.
Exactly.
When that company, you know, I tell you what, that Sunday night he was awesome. Like, remember when that was around? It was like nonstop.
Yeah, and that was after my time.
I know.
When I was there, it was just simple. Like all they had when I was there was Monday Night Raw, which had just started right before I got there.
Yeah.
And then they had Saturday. They had they still had a Saturday morning show like Superstars or something. They had like All American Wrestling.
Yeah.
And those were just Vince's shows. And there was a couple of independents that were straggling and trying to hold on to TV at the time. But that was pretty much it. Vince had like 3 or 4 shows, I think, total. You know, they had the Raw, which was live most of the time. And then they had the studio run shows where, you know, basically the in-studio guy like Todd Pettengill would announce the matches that were coming up. But that's all they had. And then they started branching out, and they got SmackDown, and like you said, Sunday Night Heat, and Shotgun Saturday Night at one point, I think they did, or something like that.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, they opened it way up. And, you know, business took off.
It did, and then they started our pay-per-views, you know? And then, look at that, you King of the Ring, like, you got your, you know, versus Hunter Hearst Helmsley, and, like, you know, these little spots. I was like, this is awesome.
And the free-for-all. And, those were back then there was, they had the 4, I guess, main pay-per-views, and then right before I left, they decided they wanted to have like a pay-per-view every month. And that's when they started all those in-your-house pay-per-views. And I wrestled Triple H on one of those as well. We did an in-your-house pay-per-view match. But, you know, and then those started branching off into other things like Unforgiven. And, I just remember this match where Mankind wrestled the Undertaker in a Buried Alive match. I was like, what the hell are these guys doing now? But they were just getting crazy with it.
They were creative.
They had the fans watching, so
they were creative.
You know, all that mattered. And it was right in the middle of those Monday Night Wars. So.
Yeah. I mean, Mick Foley, man, that guy can tell you stories left and right, you know?
Oh, yeah. Greatest guy in the world, too. Real nice guy. One of the few nice guys in the business. You know, he was always a nice guy. Yeah. And not a partier and, you know, not a scumbag either.
No, I got to ask him a question on a Q&A one time. I went to, Wrestle Reunion 2. It was in Pennsylvania, you know, one year. And I remember asking him, hey, Mick, what was it like falling off the cage? You know, versus Hell in the Cell versus Taker. He was scared. You know? He was scared.
Yeah, I just remember, I remember at different instances where I just got up on the top rope and I was scared about how high up in the air that was. I can't imagine being on top of that cage of 20 feet in the air or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And
just launching yourself.
Having never taken that bump before.
No.
Just getting the timing just right to where you flipped just in the right amount of time to land on your back on that table.
And then a stretcher.
You know, like a fraction of a second one way or another, and he could have got seriously hit.
He did.
Worse. And so, I couldn't imagine coming off the top of that rope. Man, it's a scary thing. Just got to go. You can't think about it. If you think about it too much, you're not going to do it.
No. Now these guys do crazier stuff than that, you know?
Yeah, I know. It is. Yeah,
they breaking bones, you know? It's crazy now, you know? It's concussions.
Yeah, well, now they all got insurance and they got doctors and all that stuff. See, we didn't have none of that. When we were there, we used to have to... we would get hurt. We just didn't say nothing. We kept working because if you got hurt, basically you take yourself off the road and you're not going to get booked. So as much as we could, we would take care of each other. You know, some guys, I mean, there's a lot of pro wrestlers that could have doubled easily as chiropractors. Not even having to go to chiropractic school because we used to fix each other so much. You know, we'd ice our backs, take care of ourselves. a lot of guys started taking drugs, of course,
yes,
painkillers and stuff, and that was all part of it. But we didn't have doctors and insurance plans and stuff that, and
now it's all
the companies taking care of us. No. We took care of ourselves and did everything we could do to keep ourselves on the road. That's just how it was.
I mean, I remember going to I went to the they did the comedy tour with Jake the Snake, and he told a story. It was great. It was great to hear, how he got trained, went to yoga with DDP and, to come back on his path, which was awesome.
Yeah, there's the comeback story of the century.
Like there, that was really impressive to hear about, how he really, and it's true. We know about it. Like, we didn't realize the real insides of how those demons actually took effect, and, like.
Well, that's the thing about it, man. And a lot of the wrestlers were affected by drug addiction. I was one of them, and the thing about it is, at one point or another, eventually everybody's got to grow up. And wrestlers are some of the biggest kids in the world. They don't want to grow up.
No.
And eventually you're going to either grow up and snap out of it and get your head out of your ass, or you're going to end up in jail, prison, or you're going to end up dead. And I think something happened with Jake, and he finally saw the light.
Yeah.
And I'm glad he did.
He did. And Scott Hall,
going far down the wrong path for many years. And I mean, stories about Jake being messed up were legendary. And because he kept trying to work in the business while he was still messed up. And he the fact that he was able to snap out of it and get himself healthy to whatever extent he's able to again, and with the help of Diamond Dallas Page. I think it's awesome.
I think
that's great. I always like to hear those stories because that's the field that I work in now. I work for what's called a drug court, and a large part of it is basically recovery from substance abuse. I'm working with people that are, trying to get out of jail and stay out of jail and not be on drugs anymore. And so I love to hear stories like Jake Roberts making a comeback. And another one recently, since he's just come out and talked about it, is Kaz. Man, Kaz was having some struggles with alcohol, which he has talked about. And he got in really bad shape. You could tell he was really depressed after leaving the WWE, and he has recently, and again, it was with Diamond Dallas Page, and he is making a comeback. He looked great the last time I saw him on video, man. He's got his body in shape. He's got his head screwed back on straight, which I always love to hear those comeback stories.
It is. It's like we wish we had stories like that when Balls, before he, did his Balls Mahoney, remember? Before he passed, he was a big addict. God. He was a big addict, and you know what? He used to ask me after shows, "Hey, you got any stuff, man?" I'm like, "No."
Can you help me find it? Yeah, that's just kind of how it was.
It was.
And listen, I've been in that position myself too in different ways, but when you are in the middle of that kind of active addiction, you will stoop to some pretty low levels and things to get what you need to get. And I can understand exactly where he was. It's really unfortunate, and it's unfortunate that he's no longer with us, And again, I'm trying to help people get out of that freaking rut, of that dark place that you get into when you are addicted so bad like that. And I remember seeing videos of Balls Mahoney, man. He was in a real, real bad way. You could tell his body changed. He lost his teeth. He was just screwed up.
Gangrene or whatever in his teeth. I don't know. He had a lot of problems. Puking in the ring on no cue, Like, he was a mess. So that was like a Chris Candido almost, same way almost, too. But difference with his wife, though, big time problems, And
it's a big thing. That's a big thing. I think that's a big change in the business now. Is you don't see so many of those bad stories anymore because a lot of people have learned from the mistakes of the past. Whether they themselves have gone through the addiction and made the comeback, or somebody they know has gone through it and made it through, or
it's like Scott Hall. It's like Scott Hall's done it. We know that. We've seen that.
I'll tell you what, he surprised a lot of people, and I'm glad to see him coming back from that because he was in a bad place too. But I saw him and Kevin Nash not too long ago at a show up in New York, and they both. Of course, Nash always looks good. You can tell he keeps himself in shape, but Scott has made a heck of a comeback and getting himself healthy again. And I applaud guys that do that.
Yeah.
I'm always happy to see that. I've seen Sean Waltman lately, X-Pac. He's doing great for himself.
He is, because, he was
I'm always happy to see, no matter what, no matter whether or not you got along with somebody in the business, when I was there, I've been in the depths of drug addiction, and I would not wish that on my worst enemy. So I'm always happy to see these guys come out of it and make a comeback.
Come out and and tell their story. It's because.
And if they can do that, that's just even an added benefit. If they can help other people with what they've been through, that is definitely an added benefit.
I mean, I was watching an old tape of Scott Hall when they kicked him out of a Game Changer show. It was in Atlantic City, Asbury Park one year. That
was bad.
Oh, you saw that?
I remember that.
You saw that clip where
they carried him to the ring?
Yeah, and then he walked it back out, kicked him out. Get out of here. I mean, you really, he was showing off like he was bad.
Oh, yeah, I remember hearing about that one. I was thinking of a different one.
Which one?
The one where one where they carried him out to the ring because he couldn't even walk. He got in the ring with Justin Credible and some other guys. That was bad.
And that guy, Justin Credible, look at that. He's back on the road. He's trying to get himself back on track again,
Yeah, he's done a couple stints in jail, man. I hope that snapped him out of it. I always tell people I work with, for us to change, shit's got to get painful enough. And whenever I see these stories about former wrestlers that have gotten in trouble or have gone through tough situations or gone to jail, I always hope to myself, okay, I hope it has gotten painful enough this time that they will change. And I hope that for PJ, Justin Credible, because I know he's been through some shit, and I've heard the stories. And and again, I don't wish that life on my worst enemy.
These kids need to be smart and do the right thing and go train and don't take the supplements that steroids. You don't need that shit. You could just it's all. Just go and study. Go to school or at least or train the right way. And just get taught how to wrestle.
Or just school in general, not even wrestling school, but like you just said, I always advocate people go back to school like college. Go back and get more education, man. That is a very powerful thing. When you come out of the darkness of drug addiction and you haven't used your brain for so long, and your brain starts to heal itself after you've been clean for a while, and I always tell people, go use your brain, go back to school, go start a business of some kind, go, but I think education is a very powerful thing.
It really is.
It can help people a long way in coming back from the demons and depths of drug addiction.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, if they looked back and thought about it, they could have had a good career, really. But
yeah, but that's definitely something you don't want to do when you're coming back from drug addiction, is look back and think about what you could have had, because that will set you up for a failure. You start to dwell on all the shit you fucked up and all the mess-ups and dwell on all the mistakes you made. You can't do that.
No.
You can't look back and say, I could have had this or could have had that, because I've had that conversation with people. I mean, if you think about it, man, I was there in the World Wrestling Federation in '96, right before I was riding with Stone Cold Steve Austin the night he was in the King of the Ring tournament where he did the Austin 316 speech. We were riding together.
That's awesome.
I was there right before Stone Cold Steve Austin took off, and I was there right before the Attitude Era.
Yeah.
But I was gone. And I didn't make none of that money, and I didn't do all those things. And you look back, people often ask me, do you regret missing out on that period?
No.
And my answer is, I do regret that I wasn't there at such a good time in the business, but the reality is, as bad off as I was when I left, I was doing drugs.
Yeah.
And then shortly thereafter, about a year after I left, the WWF officially stopped doing drug tests.
Yeah, I remember that.
For a while. And that's when a lot of guys died. But my answer is always this. If I had stayed, I would have probably been one of the dead guys. Probably.
Yeah.
So, I can't say, I look back and I had a lot of regrets, but no, I no longer regret the mistakes I made and stuff. It was great. Exactly. While I was there, I had a lot of fun. I met a lot of cool dudes, and I'm still friends with a lot of these guys to this day. But, I think people always say things happen for a reason, however you want to say it.
Yeah.
I just think that now, at this point in my life, I'm where I'm supposed to be.
You're having fun. You're just having fun with wrestling. And, meeting new people.
Oh, God, yeah. I'm having fun with wrestling, the social media, interacting with the fans. And it's fun now. There's no expectation about it.
And you're interacting with another friend now. See, you got your new friend. So this is awesome. I love it, This is how you make connections, I started out, like I said, 2000, 2 years in the podcast. It's like, all right, you know what? I could do this. I'm a fan of wrestling. I can voice my opinions,
Yeah.
And the way that, and you like how my title says Death Match Wrestling and Independent Wrestling, and that's true because I grew up on all eras, You have to have fun with it,
Yeah, I like the name, man. Mm-hmm. I like the name.
I was catchy. I know. I was like, you know what? Death. My name's Russell. Come on. But, no.
Well, it's good to have a forum like this to just get on and shoot the shit about wrestling and other stuff. And,
life is,
talk to people in the business and how things are and how things were.
I know.
And how things may be in the future. These are all good things.
I have another podcast right after this one. I'm like, does this ever stop?
That's good, though.
It's with one of my friends that grew up in the business. Like he's a local kid and he just keeps on killing it. He's doing what he does best.
Right on.
But hey, where can everybody reach you on? Let's do this again, Mike. I'd love to have you come back on.
Absolutely. And I will tell you, my social media is basically where everything's happening. I am on Facebook a lot. I have a private Facebook page, Mike Droese, but it's open to everybody. And I do a lot of posts on Mike Droese Facebook page that I share over to. I got a Duke the Dumpster official fan page on Facebook. I have Duke the Dumpster official Instagram page, and I have a Twitter account that is real Duke Droese.
And also, I see you have some merchandise, and I have merchandise as well. I mean, you're gonna have to do a swap, Mike.
Right on, brother. I got the old pictures. I got some new pictures. I got some cards.
T-shirts.
I got little trash can lids and stuff like that. I'm working on getting the whole T-shirt gimmick going. We're gonna, doing a little, like you said before, having fun with it.
Exactly.
I'm not expecting to get rich or nothing. I'm just gonna have fun with it.
Oh, by the way, wait a minute. I saw you had a match with some guy. I know, Scenic Nick, that loser. Yes, I remember.
Scenic. I could have got through this whole podcast and never mentioned his name. Scenic. Oh, for Christ's sake.
That guy. I've confronted him a couple times on my podcast, but he's all right sometimes. But yeah. You got it.
Well, he had a lot of heat, I'll tell you that.
Yes, he did.
Not just with the fans, but he had heat with the boys in the back, too. And I used to sit him down and tell him, I said, listen,
hey,
when you have heat with the boys, you've got some real good heat going. So he was interesting to work with. Seeing Nick. Matter of fact, I was just talking to him today. He was on my page yelling at some of my fans. So, seeing Nick.
Yeah. Stay tuned. You never know, Nick.
Here we are putting C-Nick over.
Yeah, right. But Mike, I want to say thank you for coming on, man. This is great. And you know what?
No problem.
You know what? This is live. This podcast is you might want to check out Sprecher.com and sign up for it. It goes live.
Right on. I'll do that.
It goes live. You could share it live or go offline and just resend it, but it'll get shared right away. So it's out there.
All right.
It's out there.
Sounds good.
So I want to thank you for being on. You have a good night, and you got any shows coming up or anything that people can find you?
Let's see, what do I got coming up? Show-wise, I can't remember off the top of my head, but...
local stuff, anything, anywhere?
September the 26th.
Yeah.
I want to say I'm in, holy crap, I can't remember where I'm at. October the 19th, I'm in South Georgia at the Thomas County Middle School. Mm-hmm. We are doing an anti-bullying campaign and show.
See, those are the shows I like.
October the 19th, yes.
I always like the fundraisers, and fundraisers are, always, that's really good. Programs like that.
Especially stuff that benefit the kids, school systems or the kids and stuff like that. But I think that's the next thing I got coming. I got one in September, but I can't remember what it is. Oh, it's in southeast Iowa, and I can't remember who it's with right now. But yeah, that's September.
Just check your page. Just check your page. How's that? Just fans, just check.
Oh yeah, I post this stuff all over my social media.
Just check it.
Well, yeah, man, I appreciate you having me on, and I look forward to doing it again sometime.
Absolutely. You have a great night.
You too, brother. See you.
Yep. Be good. Fans, wow, that was awesome. Like talking to Duke the Dumpster Droese, you know, the one and only, and like growing up watching wrestling, and like we said, you know, the era and the era and the times have changed for professional wrestling. Like, it's awesome. Like, to be a fan of wrestling, to watch the wrestling era, how it was back then and it is now. You know, get out and support wrestling, independent wrestling, professional wrestling. Man, I want to thank my guest Mike for Duke the Dumpster for being on tonight. And fans, stay tuned. At 9 o'clock, I will be talking to the Dirtologist, Dirtbag Dan, just filthy family. We're going to see what he's been up to and much, much more. He's got a lot going on. 9 p.m. Check that out, fans. Good night. Thank you for listening.
Hey, wrestling fans, I want to mention Collar and Elbow. Collar and Elbow was founded on traditional values of professional wrestling. Two entities working together to create a product intended to connect with people on an emotional level. A symbiotic relationship where one cannot flourish without the other. We strive to create a product that embodies our passion for professional wrestling expressed through street fashion. Visit collarandelbowbrand.com and use the promo code DeathmatchRussellPodcast and save 10% off when you make a purchase. Collar and Elbow, where wrestling passion meets street fashion. You can find more Deathmatch Russell podcasts on the following social media: DeathmatchRussell.com, follow on Twitter at DavidNJ32, and on Facebook, Facebook.com/DJDaveNJ32. Find me on Podcast City Network at PodcastCity.net, Facebook.com/Podcast City Network. Hit the like button and share, and on Twitter at PodcastCityNet. You can hear Deathmatch Russell podcast on Stitcher Radio and on iTunes.